My slumbers are filled with disturbing dreams. The face of the red-headed girl entwines with the gory messages of earlier Hunger Games, with my mother withdrawn and reachable, with Prim emercated and terrified. I bolt up screaming for my father to run as the mind explodes into the million deadly bits of light. Dawn is breaking through the windows. The capital is a misty, haunted air. My head aches. I must have been bitten into the sides of my cheek in the night. My tongue probes the ragged flesh as I taste blood. Slowly, I drag myself out of bed and into the shower. I arbitrarily punch buttons on the control board and end up hopping from foot to foot as alternating jets of icy cold and streaming hot water assault me. Then I'm diluted into a lemony foam that I had to scrape off with a heavy bristled brush. Oh well, at least my blood is flowing. When I'm dried and moistured with lotion, I find an outfit that has been left for me in the front of the closet. Tight black pants, a long-sleeve burgundy tunic, leather shoes. I put my hair in a single braid down my back. This is the first time since the morning of the reaping that I resemble myself. No fancy hair and clothes, no flaming capes. Just me, looking like I could be headed for the woods. It calms me. Hamish didn't give us exact time to meet for breakfast, and no one has contacted me this morning, but I'm hungry, so I head down to the dining room, hoping there will be food. I'm not disappointed. While the table is empty, a long board off to the side has been laid with the least of 20 dishes. A young man at a box stands at attention by the spread. When I ask if I can serve myself, he nods assent. I load a plate with eggs, sausages, battered cakes covered in thick orange preserves, slices of pale purple melon. Then I gorge myself. I watch the sun rise over the capital. I have a second plate of hot grain smothered in beef stew. Finally, I fill my plate with rolls and sit on the table, breathing off bits and dipping them in hot chocolate, the way Petra did on the train. My mind wanders to my mother and Prim. They must be up. My mother getting their breakfast of mush. Prim milking her goat before school. Just 2 mornings ago, I was home. Can that be right? Yes. Just 2. And now how the empty house feels, even from distance. What did they say last night about my fiery debut in the games? Did it give them hope or simply add to their terror when they saw the reality of the 24 tributes circled together, knowing only one could live? Hamish and Petra comes in, bid me good morning, fill their plates. It makes me irritated that Petra is wearing exactly the same outfit as I am. I need to say something to Sina. The twin axe is going to blow up in our faces once the games begin. Surely, they must know this. Then I remember Hamish telling to do exactly what the stylist told me to do. If it's anyone but Sina, I might be tempted to ignore him. But after last night's triumph, I don't have a lot of room to criticize his choices. I'm nervous about the training. There will be 3 days in which all tributes practice together. On the last afternoon, we'll each get a chance to perform in private before the game makers. The thought of meeting each other tributes face to face makes me queasy. I turn to the roll I have just taken from the basket and over in my hands, but my appetite is gone. When Hamish has finally several platters of stew, he pushes back his plate with a sigh. He takes a flask from his pocket and takes a long pull on it and leans on his elbow on the table. So let's get down to business. Training. First off, if you like, I'll coach you separately. Decide now. Why would you coach us separately? Say if you had a secret soul you might not want the others to know about, says Hamish. I exchange a look with Petra. I don't have any secret skills, and already know what yours is, right? I mean, I've eaten enough of your squirrels. I never thought about Petra eating the squirrels I shot. Somehow I always pictured the baker quietly going off and frying them for himself. Not out of greed, but because town families usually eat expensive butcher beef and chicken and horse. You can coach us together, I tell Hamish. Petra nods. All right, so give me some idea of what you can do, says Hamish. I can do anything, says Petra, unless you count baking bread. Sorry, I don't, Candace. I already know you're handy with a knife. Knife, says Hamish. Not really, but I can hunt, I said, with a bow and an arrow. Are you good? I have to think about it. I've been putting food on the table for 4 years. That is no small task. I'm not as good as my father was, but he had more practice. I'm better aimed than Gale, but I've had more practice. He's a genius with traps and snares. I'm all right, I say. She's excellent, says Petra. My father buys her squirrels. He always comments on how the arrows never pierce their body. She hits them, every one, in the eye. It's the same with the rabbit she sells to the butcher. She can even bring down a deer. This statement of my skills from Petra takes me totally by surprise. First, that he ever noticed. Second, that he talking me up. What are you doing? I asked him suspiciously. What are you doing? If he's going to help us, he has to know what you're capable of. Don't underrate yourself, says Petra. Why? I don't know why, but this rubs me in the wrong way. What about you? I've seen you in the market. You can lift hundreds of pounds of bags of flour. I snap at him. Tell him that, and that's not nothing. Yes, I'm sure the arena will be fun of bags of flour for me to chuck at people. It's not like being able to use a weapon. You know it isn't, he shoots back. He can wrestle, I tell Hamish. He came in the second in our school competition last year, only after his brother. What use is that? How many times have you seen someone wrestle someone to death, says Petra in disgust. They're always hand-to-hand combat, and you'll need is come with a knife, and you'll at least stand a chance. If I jumped, I'll be dead. I can hear my voice rising with anger. But you won't. You'll be living up in some tree, eating raw squirrels and picking up people with arrows. You know what my mother said to me when she said goodbye? As if to cheer me up, she says maybe District 12 will finally have a winner. Then I realized she didn't mean me, she meant you. Bursts out Petra. Oh, she meant you, I said with a wave of dismissal. She says she's a survivor, that one. She is, says Petra. That put me short. Did his mother really say that about me? Did she rate me over her son? I see the pain in Petra's eyes and know he isn't lying. Suddenly I'm behind the bakery and I can feel the chill of the rain coming down my back, a hollowness in my belly. I sound 11-year-old when I speak, but only because someone helped me. Petra's eyes flicker down the roll of my hand, and I know he remembers that day too. But he just shrugs. People will help you in the arena. They'll be tripping over each other to sponsor you. No more than you, I say. Petra rolls his eyes at Hamish. She has no idea the effect she can have. She runs his fingernails along the wood grain on the table, refusing to look at me. What on earth does it mean? People help me? When we are dying of starvation, no one helped me. No one except Petra. Once I had something to batter with, things change. I was a tough trader. Or am I? What effect do I have? That I'm weak and needy? Is he suggesting that I got good deals because people pitied me? I try to think of this true. Perhaps some of the merchants were a little generous in their trades, but I always attribute it to their long-standing relationship with my father. Besides, my game is first class. No one pitied me. I glower at the roll. Sure, he means to insult me. After a minute of this, Hamish says, Well then. Well, Katniss, there's no guarantee there'll be bows and arrows in the arena, but during your private session with game workers, show them what you can do. Until then, stay clear of archery. Are you any good at trapping? I know a few basic snares. They might be significant in terms of food, says Hamish. And Petra, she's right. Never underestimate the strength in the area. Very often, physical power tilts to the advantage of the player. In the training area, there will have weights, but they'll reveal how much you can lift in front of the other tributes. The plan is the same for both of you. You go to group training. Spend the time trying to learn something you don't know. Throw a spear. Swing a mace. Learn to tie a decent knot. Save showing that you're best until our private session. Are we clear? Says Hamish. Peter and I nod. One last thing. In public, I want you to each other's side at every minute. We both start to object, but Hamish slams his hand on the table. Every minute. It's not open for discussion. You agreed to do what I said. You will be together. You'll appear admittable to each other. Now get out. Meet Effie at the elevator at 10 for training. I buy my lift and stalk back to my room, making sure Petra can hear the dorm slam. I sit on the bed, hating Hamish, hating Petra, hating myself for mentioning that a day long ago in the rain. It was such a joke. Petra and I are going to pretending to be friends, talking up each other's strengths, insisting the other can take credit for their abilities. Because, in fact, at some point we're going to have to knock it off and accept we're bitter adversaries, which I'm prepared to do right now if it wasn't for Hamish's stupid instruction that we stick together in training. It's my own fault, I guess, for telling him I didn't have to coach us separately. But that didn't mean I wanted to do everything with Petra, who, by the way, clearly doesn't want to be partnered up with me either. I hear Petra's voice in my head. She has no idea the effect she can have. Obviously meant to demean me, right? The tiny part of me wonders if this was a compliment, that he meant I was appealing in some way. It's weird how he noticed me, like the attention he paid to my hunting. And apparently I have not been oblivious to him as I imagined either. The flower, the wrestling, I have keep track of the boy with the bread. And it's almost 10. I clean my teeth and smooth back my hair again. Anger temporarily blocked out my nervousness by meeting the other tributes, but now I can feel my anxiety rising again. By the time I meet Effie and Petra at the elevator, I catch myself biting my nails. I stop at once. The annual training rooms are below ground level at our building. With these elevators, the rise is at least a minute. The doors open into the enormous gymnasium filled with various weapons and obstacle courses. Although it's not yet 10, we are the last ones to arrive. The other tributes are gathered in the 10th circle. They each have a cloth square with their district number pinned on their shirts. While someone pins that number 12 on my back, I do a quick assessment. Petra and I are the only ones to dress alike. As soon as we join the circle, the head trainer, a tall athletic woman named Ultra, steps up and begins to explain the training schedule. Experts in each school will remain at their stations. We will be free to travel from area to area as we choose, per our mentor's instructions. Some of the stations teach survival skills, other fighting techniques. We are forbidden to engage in other combative experience with another tribute. When Ultra begins to read down the list of the skill stations, my eyes can't help flitting around the other tributes. It's the first time we be assembled on level ground in simple clothes. My heart sinks. Almost all of the boys and at least half of the girls are bigger than I am. Even though many of the tributes have never been fed properly, you can see that in the bones, their skin, the hollow look in their eyes. I may be smaller naturally, but overall, my family's resources has given me an edge in that area. I stand straight, and while I'm thin, I'm strong. The meat and plants in the woods, combined with the exertion it took to get them, helped me in a healthier body than most of those I see around me. The experts are the kids from the wealthier districts. The exceptions are the kids from the wealthier districts, the volunteers, the ones who have been fed and trained throughout their lives for this moment. The tributes from 1, 2, and 4 traditionally have the look about them. It's technically against the rule to train tributes before they reach the capital, but it happens every year. In District 12, we call them the career tributes, or just the careers. And like as not, the winner will be one of them. The slight adventures I held coming to the training center, my fiery entrance last night, seems to vanish in the presence of my own competition. The other tributes were jealous of us, but not because we were amazing, because our stylists were. Now I see nothing but contempt in the glasses of the career tributes. Each must have 50 to 100 pounds on me. They project arrogance and brutality. When Atala releases us, they head straight for the deadliest looking weapons in the gym and handle them with ease. I'm thinking that it's lucky I'm a fast runner when Petra nudges me the arm and I jump. He's still beside me per Hamish's instruction. His expression is sober. Where would you like to start? I look around the career tributes where we're showing off, clearly trying to intimidate the field. Then at the others, the underfield, the incompetent shakily having their first lesson with a knife or an axe. Suppose we tie some knots, I say. Right you are, says Petra. We cross the empty station where the trainer seems to be pleased to have students. You get the feeling that the knot tying class is not the Hunger Games hotspot. When he realizes I know something about snares, he shows us a simple, excellent trap that will lead us human competitor dangling by a leg from a tree. We concentrate on this one skill for an hour until both of us has mastered it. Then we move on to camouflage. Petra generally seems to enjoy the station, swirling a combination of mud and clay and berry juice around his pale skin, weaving disguises from vine and leaves. The trainer who runs the camouflage station is full of enthusiasm at his work. I do the cakes, he admits to me. The cakes? I ask. I've been preoccupied with watching the boy from District 2 send a spear through the dummy's head from 50 yards. What cakes? At home, the ice ones for the bakery, he says. It means the ones they display in the window. Fanny cakes with flowers and pretty things painted on frosting. They're for birthdays and New Year's Day. When we're in the square, Prim always drags me over to admire them, although we can never afford one. There is little enough beauty in District 12, though, so I can handle only to deny her this. I look more critically at the design on Petra's arm. The alternating light and the dark suggest sunlight falling through the leaves in the woods. I wonder how he knows this, since I doubt he's been beyond the fence. Has he been able to pick this up from just that scraggly old apple tree in the backyard? Somehow the whole thing, his skill, this inaccessible cakes, the praise of this camouflage expert annoys me. It's lovely. It's only you can frost someone to death. Don't be superior. You can never tell what you'll find in the area. Say it's actually a gigantic cake, begins Petra. Say we move on, I breathe in. The next 3 days pass with Petra and me going quietly from station to station. We do pick up some valuable skills, from starting fires to knife throwing to making shelter. Despite Hamish's order to stay mediocre, Petra excels in hand-to-hand combat, and I sweep the edible plant test without blinking an eye. We steer clear of archery and weightlifting, though, wanting to save those for our private sessions. The game makers appeared early on the first day. 20 or so men and women dressed in deep purple robes. They sit in the elevated stands that surround the gymnasium, sometimes wandering around about to watch us, jotting down notes, other times eating at the endless banquet that has been set for them, ignoring the lot of us. But they do seem to be keeping their eye on District 12 tributes. Several times I looked up to find one of them fixate on me. They consult with the trainers during our meals as well. We see them all gathered together when we come back. Breakfast or dinner are served on our floor, but at the lunch, the 24 of us eat at the dining room of the gymnasium. Food is arranged on carts around the room you serve yourself. The career tributes tend to gather rotely down one table as if to prove their superiority, that they have no fear of one another and consider the rest of us beneath notice. Most of the other tributes sit alone like lost sheep. No one says a word to us. Petra and I eat together, and since Hamish keeps dodging us to keep up a friendly conversation during the meals. It's not easy to find a topic. Talking about home is painful. Talking about the present is unbearable. One day, Petra empties our breakfast basket and points out how we could have carefully to include the types from the district along with the refined bread in the capital. The fish braid loaf tinted green with seaweed from District 4, the crescent moon roll dotted with seeds from District 11. Somehow, although it made from the same stuff, it looks more appetizing than the ugly drop biscuits that are standard fare at home. And there you have it, says Petra, scooping the bread back into the basket. You certainly know a lot. Only about bread. Okay, now laugh as I've said something funny. We both give somewhat a convincing laugh and ignore the stares around the room. All right, I keep smiling pleasantly and you'll talk, says Petra. We're wearing us both out. Hamish's direction to be friendly. Because ever since I slammed at my door, there's been a chill in the air behind us. But we have our orders. Did I ever tell you about the time I was chased by a bear? But it sounds fascinating, says Petra. I try to imitate my face as I recall the events, a true story, in which I foolishly challenged a black bear over their rights to a beehive. Petra laughs and asks a question right on cue. He's much better at this than I am. On the second day, while we are taking a shot at the spear throwing, he whispers to me, I think we have a shadow. I threw my spear, which I'm not too bad at actually if I don't have to throw it too far, and see the little girl from District 11 standing back a bit watching us. She's the 12-year-old, the one who reminds me so of Prim in stature. Up close, she looks about 10. She has bright dark eyes and sandy brown skin and still tilted up on her toes, with her arms slightly extended to her sides as if ready to take wing to the slightest sound. It's impossible not to think of a bird. I pick up another spear while Petra throws. I think her name's Rue, he says softly. I bite my lips. Rue is a small yellow flower that glows in meadow. Rue, primrose, neither of them could tip the scale of 20 pounds soaking wet. What can we do about it? I ask him more harshly than I intended. Nothing to do, just making conversation. Not that I know she's there. It's hard to ignore the child. She slips up and joins us at a different station. Like me, she's clever with plans, climbs swiftly, and has good aim. She can hit the target every time with a slingshot. But what is a slingshot against a 20-pound male with a sword? Back on District 12's floor, Hamish and Effie grill us throughout breakfast and dinner with every moment of the day. What we did, who watched us, how the others should be sized up. Sina and poor Tia aren't around, so there's no one to add sanity to the meals. Not that Hamish and Effie are fighting anymore. Instead, they seem to be on one mind, determined to whip us into shape, full of endless directions about what we should do and not to do training. Petra is more patient, but I become fed up and surely. When we finally escape to bed on the second night, Petra mumbles, Someone ought to get Hamish a drink. I make a sound that is somewhere between a snort and a laugh, then catch myself. It's messing with my mind too much. Trying to keep straight while we're supposed to be friendly and we're not. At least we don't have to do it in the arena. I know where we stand. Don't. Let's pretend when there's no one around. All right, Candace, he says tartly. After that, we are only talk in front of people. On the third day of training, we started to call us out of lunch for a private session with the game makers. District by district, first the boy, then the girl tribute. As usual, District 12 is slated to go last. We linger in the dining room, unsure of where else to go. No one comes back once they have left. As the room empties, the pressure is to appear friendly and lightness. But the time they call Rue, we are left alone. We sit in silence up until they summon Petra. He rises. Remember what Hamish says about being sure to throw the weights. The words come out of my mouth without precision. Thanks. I will, he says. You shoot straight. I nod. I don't know why I said anything at all. Although, if I'm going to lose, I'd rather Petra win than the others. Better from our district, for my mother and Prem. After the 15 minutes, they call my name. I smooth my hair, set my soldiers back, and walk into the gymnasium. Instantly, I know I'm in trouble. They have been here too long, the game makers. Sat about 23 other demonstrations. Had too much wine, most of them want more than anything to go home. There's nothing I can do but continue with the plan. I walk into the archery station. Oh, the weapons. I've been itching to get my hands on them for days. Bows made of wood and plastic and metal and materials I can't even name. Arrows with feathers cut in flawlessly uniform styles. I choose a bow, string it, and sling the matching quiver of the arrows over my shoulder. There's a shooting range, but it's much too limited. Standard bullseye and human silhouettes. I walked into the center gymnasium to fit my first target, the dummy used for knife practice. Even as I pull back the arrow, I know something is wrong. The string's tighter than the one I used at home. The arrow's more rigid. I miss the dummy by a couple of inches and lose what a little attention I have been commanding. For a moment, I humiliated. Then I head back to the bullseye. I shoot again and again until I get feel of these new weapons. Back in the center of the gymnasium, I take my initial position and skewer the dummy right into the heart. Then I sever a rope that holds the sandbag for boxing, and the bag slits open and slams on the ground. Without pausing, I shoulder roll forward, come to one knee, send the arrow into one of the hanging lights above the gymnasium floor. A shower of sparks bursts into the fixture. It's an excellent shooting. I turn to the game makers. A few are nodding in approval, but the majority of them are fixated on the roasted pig that just arrived on their banquet table. Suddenly, I'm furious that my life on the line, they don't even have the decency to pay attention to me, that I'm being upstaged by a dead pig. My head stands to pound. I feel my face brush burning. Without thinking, I pull an arrow from my quiver and send it straight into the game maker's table. I hear shouts of alarm as people stumble back. The arrow skewers the apple in the pig's mouth and pins it to the wall behind it. Everyone stares at me in disbelief. Thank you for your consideration, I said. Then I give the slight bow and walk straight toward the exit without being dismissed.